what today is?
Today is
Hi.
Hi.
So, The Strangers Chapter 1. So they remade a film not even 20 years after the original. This feels like Spider-Man all over again. Anyway, so when I heard that they were going to not just remake, but do a trilogy of The Strangers, I immediately went, well, this is the Halloween syndrome again, where they made a really good first movie and then Kills and Ends came out and, kind of went downhill from there. But then it was like what they were going to do with The Exorcist, where they were going to make a trilogy. And the first movie was like, nope, no, we don't want this. And they immediately canceled it. And so luckily, the next Exorcist movie is going to be done by Mike Flanagan, which I'm really looking forward to. But when I heard that they were going to do a trilogy of The Strangers, I immediately thought of that. I was like, this can crash and burn like crazy. And it does. Now, if you have not seen the original movie and you see this one coming, watch the original, because the term shot for shot gets thrown around all over the place. This is, I wouldn't say shot for shot, but this is beat for beat the original. It's just a new cast, a new location, and it's not scary. Where with the original, it was actually scary. This, even if you haven't seen the original, it's not scary. So, I will say this. It is a short movie, like it is barely 90 minutes long. So it definitely won't shot on for time, but if you, like I said, if you've seen the original, you're just like, I know exactly what's going to happen. But even if you haven't seen the original, there are so many parts, like if you watch like horror movies left to right, I don't even think if you've watched a whole lot of horror movies, there are so many parts in this where you can guess what is going to happen, and then immediately it happens. Where you're like, oh, they're home, but they're like, oh, they're by themselves. They're gonna pop in the mirror. Oh, yep, there it is. Oh, wait, they're crawling around. I hope they don't step on a nail. There it is. They do that all throughout the movie. So there's like zero suspense because you know exactly what's going to happen. And it just feels pointless. It feels very, very pointless. Realism is pretty much thrown out of the window in this movie. The actual strangers, they have these like almost like Houdini and ninja powers where they can just appear and disappear and just have incredibly light feet, which is, where the ninja comes in. Almost like something like they're trying to be like Jason from Friday the 13th. But it's like, what? This is supposed to be more realistic, guys. With Friday the 13th, this Jason Voorhees is a guy who has drowned and come back. He has been, electrocuted. He has been blown up and all these different things, and he comes back. It's like we go into those movies not expecting real life. We just want to have fun. But when you do that, they don't do that in this, but it's like, okay, come on. Really? I will say, despite it being a short movie, the couple they do have in here, while it's not as good as the original, they actually do, actually care about each other. There's really no, like, bickering or arguing, and there is no, like, there is a couple of, like, oh, wait here, and I'm like, that's when something's gonna pop out, and something's gonna happen. And this is directed by Renny Harlin, who has done, like, pretty good movies in the past, like, like Die Hard 2, Cliffhanger. I believe he did The Mask, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, how did you go from those to this? And it's like, what happened? What happened? There are some parts that could be creepy, but then they put the pulsating loud jump scare sound on top of it, and it's like, it's not scary. Like, come on, guys. It was just annoying. Just like, really? You guys are going to remake this for the point of it, for no point at all? This honestly feels like kind of like what Sony's doing with Spider-Man. They're trying to keep the rights to all of the, like, Spider-Verse stuff. This feels like Lionsgate trying to hold on to the Stranger's property, where it's just like, guys, you don't need to keep milking this thing. We got a sequel to that, and from what I heard, it's not very good. So it's like, why do you want to try to milk this thing? There is no milk in this thing. It was almost like what Paramount did with Rings, where it's just like, guys, it's dry. It's dry. You're just beating a dead horse at this point, and they're like, nope, we're gonna keep beating on this dead horse to try to get some more life out of it, and it doesn't work. So this feels like I said, this feels like one of those pointless reboots where they were trying to keep the rights, and they even tried to, like, make this kind of like a PSA, and like, they have a message at the beginning of the movie saying that there's a crime committed every 26 seconds, which is frightening, which is incredibly frightening. But then they say, like, oh yeah, seven of which are committed while you're watching this film. And so it almost like says, like, yeah, you these 7 crimes, you could have probably saved it. And it's like, I don't know wait, what? Why are you like going, like, trying to, like, pin this on me? Like, I did this personally. So this didn't necessarily, like, piss me off like some other, like, horror films in the past, like, year or a couple years. But because it just felt pointless. And the fact that at the end they're like, oh no, we're continuing this. It's like, why? So this is almost like what, like what they're doing with, what they were doing with, Exorcist, where they're like, okay, we're planning this trilogy. Here's this first film. But the problem was, the first film was not very good. And then Universal and Blumhouse were quickly going, okay, nope, we're getting rid of it. We're canning it. So that way the next one, it's by itself, it's independent. Lionsgate is just like, oh, we don't care. We don't care if this is good or not. We don't care if this is good or not. We don't care if this makes money. We are continuing this series. And it's like, no. Like, you realize that everybody in the world who saw this movie said it sucks. And it feels like they're almost like, not to the extent of him, but they almost feel like the Uwe Boll of studios at the moment, because they're just like, hey, we're gonna make this film. We don't care what anybody thinks. Now, I don't think they go to the extent of fighting critics and people that disagree with him, like that guy does. So, he'll make Alone in the Dark. He'll make House of the Dead. He'll make Blood Rain. He'll make Postal and not care what you think. He'll purposely make them terrible and not care what you think. This kind of feels like the same way, where it's like Lionsgate said, oh yeah, we're going to do this trilogy. We don't care if it's any good. We already sunk our money into it, so we want this to get made. So I would say if you want to watch The Strangers, go watch the original. Don't waste your time with this one, because it's not scary, it's not suspenseful. It's really lame. Even if you've never seen a horror movie before, you know exactly like how this is going to pan out. And I don't think you'll be entertained or scared by this. Even if you've never seen a horror movie before, I don't think it matters if you've never seen a horror film or you've never seen the original. I don't think it matters. Just kind of skip this one and watch the original. So just for that, this is terrible. And so I just there's so much better stuff you can watch. And then the fact that it would be different if this movie was the first one. Like, there was no original, and this is the first one, where it's like, okay, I like the concept, it's just you failed on execution, you were crap on execution. But the fact that you already had a really good first movie, and this is like what you farted out after it, it's like there's no passion in this. It's just to make money. So we'll see what they do with part 2 and 3, but after this, it's a stinker.
Because you're here.